Now, we're going to talk about Meghan Markle. Now, Harry, as you know, he came here briefly last week, about this time last week, actually, to attend a children's charity award ceremony. Well done for that. Meghan pointedly didn't come with him, as I keep saying. I don't think she'll ever set foot in this country again, although she briefly did last night, just in a stopover, because she flew to Dusseldorf in Germany via Britain. So she touched down and then changed planes and maybe the plane just carried on, but she actually did spend a few minutes, you know, in transit, as it were. So she turned up, and we're looking at her now there in Dusseldorf for the Invictus Games. So they're together at last after much speculation. When will they ever be together again? And then she made this speech that was, you know, just like sickeningly cutesy, saying, "I'm sorry I'm late. I had the school run to do. And also I had to make the kids some milkshakes. She's just a normal mom." Yeah, right. She's got 19 bathrooms. But, you know, I wouldn't want to be churlish about this. You know, I think that the Invictus Games is great, and it's one of the things we should praise Harry for. And in the end, good for Meghan for turning up finally to support him. So I've got no real problem with any of this because we tend to sort of slam Harry and Meghan, you know, for almost everything they do, because almost everything they do is really irritating. But this is a good thing. But it does give rise to a discussion about the royal family generally, and I've got a great guest to talk to about that, because he's the author of a new book that's coming out on the 14th of September. It's called After Elizabeth. You can work out what that means. He's historian, royal commentator and author, Dr Ed Owens. Good afternoon, Ed.
Good afternoon.
As I say, good to see the gruesome twosome together, emotional reunion and all that, and there's nothing really to say about the Invictus Games because that is a good thing. However, you know, when he came here last week, Ed, Harry surprised everyone actually with an unscheduled or an unexpected stop into St George's Chapel in Windsor. Whereupon apparently he learned that a couple of days earlier there'd been a family gathering to mark the one-year anniversary of the Queen's sad death. And he became apparently enraged that his wicked Uncle Andy was there, Prince Andrew was there. And it's as if to say, well, what's that royal pariah doing at this family gathering? Well, I think maybe, Harry, you might have become a bit of a royal pariah as well. So I guess what I'm saying is, this is so far what the After Elizabeth story has been. A kind of slightly tawdry soap opera involving Harry's flight from Britain to California and all of the subsequent TV interviews, his rather nasty little book Spare, Prince Andrew going from one shame to another in the depths of disgrace. I mean, so far, while saying I think King Charles has done a pretty good job, I have certain reservations about him, but I think he's done just fine, and so has Queen Camilla. But After Elizabeth, the story so far seems to be a tawdry soap opera.
I think they're struggling really to redefine what this institution is going to be about.
Yeah.
Post Elizabeth II. You're right that the King's reign, the first year of his reign, has been one defined, I think, really by caution, stability, continuity. There's been no remarkable sense of change or innovation thus far. And as you say, rightly, Kevin, he's really struggling to escape some of the ghosts that sort of haunted the end of the late Queen's reign, namely both his brother, Andrew, and estranged second son, Harry. And I think what we're seeing here are that those relationships with these other family members, that the King is still working out what the future of these things looks like. I think any sense of rehabilitation for Prince Andrew is extremely tone deaf. He's by far the least popular member of the British royal family, far less popular even than Harry and Meghan back in the UK. And I think if the King must know this, but I think any sense of trying to rehabilitate him would be the wrong move. But at the same time, he's not making things very easy for Charles, in the sense that he is, if you like, the worst type of royal hanger-on, in that he won't leave Frogmore Cottage. He's refusing to give up the home, the grace and favour home that he was given. So he won't move on. Charles has to come to terms with that. Equally, the king has to be seen to take the moral high ground with Harry and Meghan, because he's got to keep this door open to them potentially for some kind of return. But at the same time, you know, there's a lot of bitterness there, isn't there? And trying to get past that's really difficult.
I mean, I think this is just the perception of Charles. In the past, I think people have seen him as a bit of a weak man. He doesn't like confrontation. And he's taken a long time to get quite tough on Harry and Meghan. But to be fair to him, the signs in the last month are that he has decided enough is enough. You know, they weren't invited to the family gathering as they marked the 1-year anniversary of the death of the Queen. He's taken away their Frogmore Cottage, isn't it? He's taken that away from them.
That's where Andrew's staying.
Well, I thought Andrew was in the lodge, the Royal Lodge. Royal Lodge. Frogmore Cottage was Harry and Meghan's, but the King's taken that away from them. So the signs are that he has sort of read the room, I think, because the people of Britain were saying, why are you put up with this from this guy? Why are you putting up with this? So he's getting tough on Harry and Meghan. And to be fair to him, while Andrew, I think, is always welcome at private family events, it is Charles who is saying that guy is never coming back to frontline royal duties. So if Charles can maintain that kind of authority, then I think he's in good shape. If he can't, because in the past he's an indecisive man, he's kind of weak, doesn't like confrontation. He's got to learn to do that if he's to be a successful sovereign, because he's got a difficult job. He's trying to preserve the monarchy after the most incredible reign by the most incredible queen the world has ever seen. So that's his task.
Yeah, and I would simply add the caveat. You're right that Elizabeth II's reign was a remarkable one, and there were many notable successes. But one of the things she didn't do, Kevin, was modernise the institution sufficiently, really from the 1990s onwards.
Yeah.
And that the hand that he's inherited is therefore a really difficult one, because his job really is to take this institution forward, make something new of it. And he's got to try and cram this into, 10, 15 years, maybe 20 years. And he's got to do an awful lot to ready the monarchy for the mid-21st century. We're living through the fastest times that the human race have ever experienced. Trying to ensure this institution, which, let's not forget, the monarchy has historically been a bit sort of heavy-footed, has been a bit resistant to change more generally. It's sort of erred on the side of tradition as opposed to modernisation. It's a really difficult task that he has in front of him, and I think he's got to work really carefully with William to set out a shared vision for what the future of this institution looks like over the next 50 years.
And what would you think his plan is for Harry? Because he is the difficult prince, and he's very unpredictable. And you do have this furious feud about which there seems to be no solution between Harry and William. What would you say? We haven't got too much longer now, Ed. Great to talk to you, by the way. What would you say the King's going to do about Harry? Just sort of cut him off and just say, enjoy California, we don't want to know anymore?
Yeah, well, cut him off, but don't engage in sort of recrimination. He mustn't let it be known that there's any sense of bitterness there. He must be seen, at least publicly, Kevin, to have taken that moral high ground. You know, that will at least earn him the respect, I think, of his subjects.
Indeed. Now, just very quickly, I hope you come back on when your book is out. Is it today? Is it today?
Tomorrow.
After Elizabeth. Well, it's out tomorrow. I think we've sort of discussed what we're all about. But come back on next week, Ed, and we'll go through the details of your book. How's that sound?
That sounds great. Thanks, Kevin.
All right, Ed. Thank you very much. That's Ed Owens, author of a new book about the royal family.